Hello, harmonica friends! Those who have followed this tutorial have listened to the music that introduced the lesson that sometimes changes. This because in some cases the music have to do with the topic we are talking about. I often use the theme of Capriccio 24 by Paganini that I performed and arranged for harmonica and piano for our tutorials, but here I played the first variation of this composition, because we will talk about the technique necessary for its execution. A very important theme that is how to move the harmonica, and it is one of the particular and at the same time almost unique characteristic of the instrument, but strangely little considered. Here we go. We often refer to the uniqueness of the harmonica to emit both blowing and aspiring sounds, but very rarely we mention that there are very few instruments that have to be moved entirely to change the note. I know only two of them, harmonica and the pan flute. In fact, generally the arms and hands will move along the keyboard, piano, accordion, or press the keys, oboe, flute, or the string pressed against a keyboard in turn rubbed with a bow or pizzicato, violin, viola, guitar, or press pedal, timpani, or with sticks, marimba, etc., etc. The movement, the gesture that will move the harmonica, is therefore a decisive and fundamental aspect, and we will have to understand how to do it, since this will be intimately depend on our action of playing, precision, and therefore the result of our performance. Starting from this movement in its correct execution, we will have to coordinate exactly our breathing, exhalation and inhalation. The result of this synchrony will determine the cleanness of our execution. Here you are an example of good synchrony. Two notes. Bad synchrony. We will avoid any possible tension, those that can cause tendinitis in time, contracture if not we will be sufficiently relaxed as we play. I have already dealt with important aspects including the role of the arms, which must be separated from the body by a few centimeters, a distance still necessary to allow them the most complete freedom of movement. Moreover, in order to attain a free movement, we must pay the utmost attention to avoid any form of stiffening. This rigidity can come not only from the same arms and the shoulder, but it is often caused by the hands that tend to tighten the instrument too much. And this happens more frequently during the execution of technical, more demanding passages. It may happen that you are not aware of exerting excessive pressure with your hands, perhaps because you have long been in habit of playing in this condition. If you can't feel it, check immediately after playing that the skin in contact with harmonica. If it is marked beyond normal with the redness or far-offs, they are only indicative of this defect. We will have to pay particular attention and try to minimize this pressure and limit ourselves to the minimum necessary to manage the instrument. The instrument must be kept as soft as possible. The hands must be far from adopting a fixed position, but should be free to participate in the formation of sound and our musical intentions. It will be useful to watch some videos of Larry Adler about his way of playing, the mobility of the hands to get different sounds and in supporting the instrument, and in his case, even to get the vibrato. In fact, as already said, based on our expressive needs, we can, through the arrangement of the hands, deeply modify the timbre and the volume. So, freedom of movement is not static or rigid. As for the lateral shift of the entire harmonica, this will happen thanks to a combined arm-shoulder movement. So we will avoid classical errors such as moving by the wrist, or even worse, the movement of the head in practice without moving the harmonica. They will then be the arms in their entirety. Even better from the shoulders to allow movement. At first, the feeling can be great insecurity, finding us to manage the harmonica without the instinctive reference points like the propping of the elbow on the hips, or the shift of the harmonica through the wrist, characteristic of many diatonic harmonicists, but with time we will develop the reference measures of the jump between one hole and the other. And the fact of not having any impediment or stiffening of the shoulders and of the arms or our hands will allow a huge help and will favor the development of speed and precision over time. We must remember to start the movement not from the elbow for arm or hands, but to involve all the arms starting from the shoulders. Technical steps such as the variation of the Paganini that I talked at the beginning of this tutorial can be performed only with these conditions, since it would be absolutely impossible to execute them if you are not completely fluid and relaxed. This condition is easily understandable if we have to play these notes or blow on nearby holes, for example, holes 1, 2, 3, etc. Or all of them are always aspirate holes, 1, 2, 3, etc. Nobody will think of doing it in this way. Or, but I think better. Now we drop an arpeggio that requires changes of a breath like C major 7 be natural. Also in this case, we will not have to interrupt the flow in a movement we have done before. Even with a change of breath, the movement of the harmonica will have to be without tension. Things will become more complicated when you have to do both breathing change and use the slide. C major, B flat. It is very easy that all of these actions at the same time can create tension in the arms, shoulders and hands and move the instrument with tension. Speaking in general, both in jumps to near hole or those far away, the instrument will always have to be moved smoothly, a movement similar to the violinist when he jumps between distant notes where they combine speed, fluidity, plasticity, a harmonious gesture, the perfect harmony between intention and action. In this regard, look at the plasticity of the movement of this great performer. The body and the arm in achieving a wide jump on the instrument. It is that energy, that soft force, that we must look for a perfect fusion between instrument and instrumentalist. Well, all the instruments, each with his own characteristic, contain this difficult balance between strength and softness. The speed starts from an impulse, and the more the gesture will have to be fast and stronger, the impulse will have to be. Hence, the temptation to realize this through the force that can easily be excessive because it is difficult to do. This is the delicate balance that almost every musician experiences in ways and gestures peculiar to each instrument. Great speed and precision that can be translated into fluidity and control, and in execution requires a lot of control. There is a harmony in movement, a gesture that expresses if one has and when one is performing well, that contain an intrinsic musicality, in function and in harmony with what one is playing. In this regard, I wanted to devote many exercises on my book to gradually develop this extremely important and fundamental condition for our instrumental artistic progress. It will be a constant research to which we will always have to devote our attention in maintaining and develop the symbiosis necessary with our instrument. Well, for today, that's all. See you on next video. Ciao!